¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a este su programa de Todo Poco. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Les saluda Omar Piñón Guía. Déjenme decirles, ya tenemos listo el programa de Sylvester Stallone. Él nació en 1946 y esta es su vida. Así que no le cambien. En la próxima hora ustedes conocerán la trayectoria de Sylvester Stallone y sus películas.
Tan inspiradora como sus aventuras en la pantalla.
I'll never forget the Rocky movies and the way he come from behind.
Millones de espectadores están conscientes de sus proezas físicas, pero solo pocos saben que es la fuerza interna de Stallone la que lo ha ayudado a lidiar con los avatares de la celebridad.
The journey through celebrity, in many ways, is the most challenging and the most has been for him, trying at times. Because he is so sensitive.
I think that it takes an incredible determination and a great faith to be able to survive the force that comes against you when you want to achieve anything to a great level.
Logró la fama internacional creando personajes que nunca se rinden, sin importar las adversidades.
People say, what was the greatest fight you've ever seen? And I'd say Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4.
En la próxima hora veremos que Sylvester Stallone tiene mucho en común con sus personajes que se niegan a sucumbir, lo cual se refleja en su determinación por probarse una y otra vez ante el público.
If Sylvester Stallone hadn't created Rambo and Rocky, there would be no modern action movie.
I think when I grow up, I want to be like Sylvester Stallone.
Pero hay muchos otros aspectos sorprendentes de este hombre increíblemente complejo. Los abordaremos al revelar su crecimiento desde que era un niño frágil que fantaseaba con los héroes de los dibujos animados hasta su surgimiento como uno de los héroes más grandes del cine. Escucharemos también cómo soportó años de pobreza en su búsqueda de fama y fortuna.
We used to live in a house that was so hot and was so poorly ventilated that she would get nosebleeds while cooking from the heat.
Celebraremos su llamado éxito instantáneo y veremos que el estrellato no trae automáticamente la felicidad.
I don't know if he imagined becoming an icon, which he certainly is.
Desde sus nominaciones al Oscar como guionista y actor en Rocky, hasta su actuación aclamada por la crítica en Tierra de Policías, Sylvester Stallone ha evolucionado como actor, como cineasta, como artista y como hombre de familia. Mostraremos su vida y su carrera en fotografías y filmaciones nunca antes vistas en televisión, escenas de sus películas más memorables y entrevistas originales con Sharon Stone, John Travolta, Bruce Willis, el expresidente George Bush y aquellos que han presenciado la evolución de Sylvester Stallone desde su niñez en La Cocina del Infierno hasta llegar a convertirse en una de las estrellas de cine más exitosas de todos los tiempos. Y escucharemos al propio Sylvester Stallone en una entrevista exclusiva en la que habla acerca de su notable trayectoria. Sylvester Stallone a continuación en Celebrity Profile.
It's like I've been exposed to the radiation of love. You know what I mean? It's like it's too late. It's terminal.
Sylvester Stallone es hijo de Frank y Jacqueline Stallone y nació el 6 de julio de 1946 en una sala de maternidad pública de Nueva York. Durante el parto, los internistas utilizaron forceps que le dañaron un nervio facial, lo cual afectó la apariencia y el habla del joven Sylvester. Pasó los primeros 3 años de su vida en un internado donde solo veía a sus padres los fines de semana. El otro hijo de la unión fue su hermano menor, Frank. Sus padres se divorciaron cuando Sylvester tenía 10 años y Jacqueline se llevó a sus hijos a Filadelfia. El futuro fortachón del cine creció como un delgado joven.
Like many individuals, I think I grew up with a rather colossal size self-consciousness. I did not feel that I was contributing anything to the human race. So I was slight, I was thin.
En la escuela, Sylvester era objeto de burlas debido a su nombre y obtenía bajas calificaciones. Había asistido a 12 escuelas diferentes para cuando tenía 15 años. Desde entonces, Sylvester ha soñado con aventuras en las que apacibles personajes solitarios se convierten en superhéroes.
I didn't feel that I had any extraordinary or even above average abilities. My schoolwork also suffered because I was very distracted and hyperactive. And I found myself reveling in the discovery of these new comic book heroes. For example, Superman, at that time I was so overwhelmed with that my father, who was in the hair business, I had taken one of his barber capes, cut points in the end, dyed a t-shirt, put the S on, I'm sure it was backwards, and literally leaped off the roof with an umbrella. Now, not that I ever saw Superman use an umbrella, but if he had, he might have still been around. And I crashed right into a barbecue pit that was under construction and broke my collarbone, broke my forearm. As I reflect back on them, on many of these incidences, because I did many, which eventually landed me in a lot of hot water, I was constantly trying to test my fortitude and my courage, because I didn't think I had any.
Aunque era incapaz de prestar atención en la escuela, Sylvester era un gran estudiante de películas que luego lo inspiraron a superarse en la vida.
I had seen Steve Reeves in Hercules, and I had a prepubescent epiphany. At that time, I went, that's what I would like to model myself after. Even though I realized, of course, that it was more than a tall order, but the mere idea of this kind of mythological figure, but still in flesh and blood, overwhelmed me. We had never seen anything like it. It was just extraordinary. And from that moment on, I had some sense of direction. I began to become physically aware of the challenge that lay ahead. In other words, try to build something from this rickety thing I call the body.
Encontró otro ejemplo a seguir en la película Espartaco, protagonizada por Kirk Douglas. La historia de una rebelión de esclavos en la antigua Roma causó una impresión duradera en el joven Stallone.
He became the precursor to superheroes. Inadvertently, I mean, Spartacus you would not think would be the stuff that comic book heroes are made of, but at that time, that was his domain, Spartacus. It was, because we had nothing else at that time, and then the Vikings, and he played it again with such panache that I couldn't but bond with that image.
Entre las funciones de cine, Sylvester se ganó una beca atlética en la Universidad Estadounidense de Suiza. Corría el año 1965 y a sus 19 años, Sylvester se hacía llamar Mike Stallone. Mientras practicaba deportes en la universidad, encontró tiempo para actuar en obras estudiantiles. Este nuevo interés lo llevó a la Universidad de Miami, donde se dedicó a tiempo completo al teatro. John Hertzfeld, su compañero de habitación, recuerda que el mayor obstáculo de Mike Stallone para convertirse en actor era su modo de hablar.
When I met him, he stuttered. He had a stutter and a stammer, which he literally overcame by listening to tapes. He would take a real tape recorder, and he'd basically quote and speak long passages from Edgar Allan Poe, which is his favorite author, and Walt Whitman. And he got rid of his own stammer.
Pero ese era solo el primero de muchos obstáculos que Sylvester Stallone enfrentaría en su búsqueda del éxito inmediato durante 10 años. Los deportes y su determinación lo llevaron a la universidad, pero Sylvester debió superar aún más obstáculos, como recuerda John Hertzfeld, su amigo de la Universidad de Miami.
And he was evicted from his apartment in Coconut Grove, and I shared my place with one other guy, so all he had was a closet, which was available, and he lived in my closet for 6 months.
En 1968, el universitario Sylvester Stallone ingresó al gremio de actores de cine como extra en una sombría película de Anne Margaret. Sin embargo, cuando sus maestros le aconsejaron que abandonara la actuación, Stallone dejó la Universidad de Miami sin llegar a graduarse en 1969. Luego se mudó a Nueva York y trabajó en diversos empleos, incluso como acomodador en el cine Baronet & Carnet, donde conoció a su primera esposa, Sasha. John Hertzfeld se unió a Stallone en Nueva York. Fue allí donde por primera vez Hertzfeld supo el verdadero nombre de su amigo.
He did not let anyone know his name was Sylvester. He was Mike Stallone.
Ambos amigos reunieron sus escasos recursos y convirtieron un libreto en una película llamada Caballos. Esta cinta fue uno de los primeros trabajos de Sylvester como cineasta.
Cowboy reincarnated 100 years later and seek revenge on the sheriff who hung them, who was also reincarnated.
En el cine, mientras continuaba viviendo en la pobreza. Fue un delincuente del metro en La locura está de moda de Woody Allen y un ladrón que roba a Jack Lemmon en Prisionero de sí mismo. En 1974 actuó en Los Caballeros de Flatbush junto a Perry King y Henry Winkler. Tras el súbito éxito de Winkler como Fonzie en Días Felices, Sylvester y Sasha Stallone se mudaron a Los Ángeles y se casaron el 28 de diciembre de 1974. Aunque se tenían el uno al otro, su suerte no mejoró.
I look at people that had, pennies and go, God, you're rich. We were really broke. But she goes, do what you want. We actually have poverty down to a science. It's okay. We've learned to manage. It's all right. We used to live in a house that was so hot and was so poorly ventilated that she would get nosebleeds while cooking from the heat. It was really, really tough.
En 1975, mientras se esforzaba para ganarse la vida, Sylvester vio una pelea de boxeo que le sirvió de inspiración para escribir un nuevo libreto.
With Rocky, it wasn't like a preconceived idea that I would come out here and be very successful. I really didn't think so. I had basically relegated myself to a working actor. Then one day, as fate would have it, I saw a particular event, a boxing match, with this great white hope, Chuck Wepner, who was given no chance whatsoever against, the reigning champion, and he succeeded in losing with dignity. I went, very interesting. I've never seen that really portrayed on film. So I started to formulate this idea, and I wrote it very, very quickly.
La actuación de Stallone en Los Caballeros de Flatbush elevó su perfil como actor. Una audición posterior con los productores Irwin Winkler y Robert Chartoff se convirtió en un encuentro crucial para la nueva historia de boxeo de Stallone.
I said, okay, bring him in and we'll meet him. And when he came in to meet us as an actor, as he was leaving the meeting, he said, oh, by the way, I'm also a writer.
And he went, really? Well, okay, bring it back. And if I hadn't turned my head and said I write a little bit at that time, the door would have closed and maybe that moment would have been gone.
Su coestrella Talia Shire recuerda cuando conoció al joven guionista y actor durante este extraordinario proceso.
You have to remember that this was a young man with a pregnant wife with very little money, but tremendous belief.
The script was presented. They said, oh, we want to buy it. I said, thank you very much. And at the time, I had about $106, $107 in the bank. I had already sold my dog because I couldn't afford him.
And he could have, at any point in that journey, sold the script for big dollars to certain actors at the time who were stars. And he and she, Sasha and Sylvester, hung on to the piece.
I went to the studio and they said, fine, but we want Ryan O'Neal and Burt Reynolds and Robert Redford and like anyone in the world except you. And, I understood that, believe me, because I would have said the same thing. And I went home to my wife and I said, really, they're offering $30,000. I said, no. Then they came back with $100,000. And I said, no. Well, anyway, it went up to like $320,000. And I'm like going, because I'm seriously financially flat.
He had a great deal of faith in us. He had a great deal of fortitude in turning down their $250,000 and a great deal of faith in our word that we would get the picture made with him.
And the casting on that literally was all at the last minute. People were falling out, taking other jobs, and the next person that walked in kept getting the job. There was Talia Shire walked in the same night. Then Ken Norton was supposed to be a boxer. He quit to get into a superstar competition. Carl Weathers walked in, got the job. And he read with me, he says, I could do a lot better if you get me a real actor. I went, gosh, thank you very much. He thought I was just there to, help out with some of the chores.
I read the script, and I was very moved by the script. It was absolutely beautiful to read. But I didn't expect this extraordinary creature to come through the doorway.
So I went to Philadelphia full of dreams and whatever, and I was just afraid to fly. I went there by train, so I was bleary-eyed, and so he walked down on the set, and my feet hit the pavement. And I'll never forget, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was Rocky now just starting to run towards the steps. First time out, and I thought, this is it. This is like the moment of truth. I wasn't given a shot. I always had to ride the bench. I never was allowed to play one time, you know what I mean? So that's really what the movie was about, and because that was exactly the feelings that I was undergoing throughout my life.
No se imaginaba que esta película de bajo presupuesto acerca de un boxeador de poca monta fascinaría a los espectadores en todo el mundo.
I'll never forget the Rocky movies and the way he come from behind and all the wonderful things that we admire in this country.
It was one of the first films that I went and saw multiple times. I probably saw Rocky 7 or 8 times when it first came out.
But I had no idea that I was in such companionship with everyone else, in such sync, you know, that it really is just something that was extraordinary. I wish I could find those grand themes again.
Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed. And if I can go that distance, seeing that bell rings and I'm still standing. I'm gonna know for the first time in my life, see, that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood.
It was a different arena that Sylvester was creating. It was one where a man encounters himself and goes the distance with his soul. And in that context, he also was dealing with love.
La película fue nominada a 10 premios Oscar, incluyendo Mejor Actor, Mejor Libreto y Mejor Película, renglón en el cual compitió con El Taxista, Poder que Mata y Todos los Hombres del Presidente. El desconocido actor que había soportado años de pobreza y arriesgado el futuro financiero de su joven familia, la cual incluía a su primer hijo, Sage, se halló de pronto en el centro de la noche más importante de Hollywood.
I had a bad omen. On the way over to Oscar night, my tie exploded in the car. I still was half Philadelphia, half tuxedo. So the driver goes, "Mr. Stallone, you want my tie?" I go, "No, that's okay. Nah, I don't think it'll make a difference," because I had never been to an event like that. So I put my collar on the outside and the T-shirt here, and frayed, and I really did look like, Joe Guido.
Fue una velada inolvidable. Rocky ganó el premio Oscar a la mejor película de 1976, pero eso representaba un colosal desafío para Sylvester Stallone. ¿Qué hacer después?
Rocky winning the Oscar, first time out, it's like, thank you. It's like taking a swimming lesson, and next day you swim the Channel, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Pacific. You go, I've run out of oceans. You know what I mean? Anybody got any more water? Well, that, in a sense, how do you top that? You don't.
Sylvester recibió ofertas para continuar escribiendo y actuando, lo cual hizo con Fist en 1978. Ese mismo año, Stallone hizo su debut como director con La Cocina del Infierno. Ann Archer protagonizó la cinta.
He directs with economy, which I rather like. He doesn't go on and on. He has a very creative, right-on idea or thought, and he would just... He'd share that with you, and that was it.
Ninguna de esas cintas tuvo el mismo éxito de Rocky, por lo que Stallone volvió a los elementos básicos. En 1979 hizo la primera de sus 4 secuelas y logró el éxito.
People say, what was the greatest fight you've ever seen? And I'd say Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Luego actuó en otras películas como Victoria y El Chacal, pero solo lograba éxito comercial cuando encarnaba a Rocky Balboa. Rocky 3 recaudó más dinero que Rocky y Rocky 2 juntas. Parecía que Stallone había quedado encasillado como ese personaje por el resto de su carrera, pero se vio libre de su creación en 1982 tras adaptar una novela que había estado circulando durante años en Hollywood. Esa novela era Rambo. El protagonista era un veterano de Vietnam llamado John Rambo.
Rambo, again, was kind of an accident. This was a cursed project. Cursed in the sense that it had been around for 7 years, and it was a very formidable project. It was like we had never seen a one-man army turn itself upon its own master, its own country. I saw this as a modern-day Frankenstein, and I thought, my God, this is a very, very tough situation. I thought this film will die. I thought it was going to be an art film. I had no idea. When he said, "It wasn't my war. You asked me, I didn't ask you. And I did what I had to do to win, but somebody wouldn't let us win. Then I come back to the world, and I see all those maggots at the airport protesting me, spitting, calling me baby killer and all kinds of vile crap. Who are they to protest me, huh? Who are they? Unless they've been me and been there and know what the hell they're yelling about.
It was a bad time for everyone, Rambo. It's all in the past now.
For you! For me, civilian life is nothing. In the field, we had a code of honor.
You watch my back, I watch yours. Back here, there's nothing.
You're the last of an elite group. Don't end it like this.
Back there, I can fly a gunship. I could drive a tank. I was in charge of $1 million equipment. Back here, I can't even hold a job. Fucking guards! Ah!
So I've always thought, my God, that's true. It's the Frankenstein syndrome.
Rambo fue un inmenso éxito. Entre las películas de Rocky y Rambo, Stallone comenzó a ejercitar sus músculos creativos. Produjo y dirigió Sobreviviendo, la continuación de la increíblemente popular Fiebre del Sábado por la Noche. Con Stallone detrás de las cámaras, John Travolta se sintió cómodo al volver a interpretar a Tony Manero.
You know, he was setting the tone for sequels. And I really didn't feel like the original Saturday Night Fever could be competed with a sequel. And the best thing to do was make it as kind of commercial a venture as possible, meaning not try to compete with the first one and just have some fun with it.
Stallone también actuó junto a Dolly Parton en su primera comedia, El taxista caradura, una película que prefirió a otra más exitosa, Dos bribones tras la esmeralda perdida. Pero todas las cintas anteriores de Stallone estaban a punto de ser eclipsadas por la continuación de Rambo, Rambo 2, en 1985. La película recaudó más de $150 millones en Estados Unidos y se convirtió en un éxito mundial. El personaje de John Rambo se tornó en un ícono cultural.
I think subliminally I was going back to the Steve Reeves Herculean thing, and we started to inject that into the Rambo 2, and it became kind of in third world countries a symbol.
Rambo inició un nuevo género, uno que sostendría a Stallone y una nueva generación de estrellas en las décadas de los 80 y los 90. El productor fílmico Keith Barish, quien luego sería cofundador de Planet Hollywood, recuerda el impacto de Rambo.
If Sylvester Stallone hadn't created Rambo and Rocky, there would be no modern action movies. So it's an extraordinary contribution.
He's made some films that I think will do that magical thing, and that is that will keep him alive long after he's no longer with us. He's made some films that are going to be around forever.
En la pantalla, Rambo sembraba el caos entre sus enemigos. Fuera de la pantalla, la película le trajo nuevos desafíos a su incansable creador. Estaba en su apogeo. Tenía dos personajes, Rocky Balboa y John Rambo, que esperaban por más películas. Sus cintas le habían valido millones, pero su vida personal era un caos. Al segundo hijo de Sylvester y Sasha, Sergio, se le diagnosticó autismo. Después de varios intentos por salvar su matrimonio, su unión de 11 años llegó a su fin. Luego, en 1985, Stallone conoció y se casó con Brigitte Nielsen, una actriz y modelo danesa. La pareja actuó en Rocky IV y Cobra, y rápidamente se convirtió en material para los tabloides. Su muy notorio matrimonio terminó 2 años después. Stallone se sumió en su trabajo específicamente en Rambo 3.
I think I became a little unfocused. If you're flushed with success, after a while, I think that you no longer feel this need to sacrifice and work harder to keep what you have. You say, oh, I've got it down to a formulaic system where I can basically go unguarded and relax, and that's what happened.
Rambo 3 no tuvo tanto éxito como las anteriores películas de Stallone. Tras actuar en otros proyectos, Stallone no satisfizo a su público en cintas como Condena Brutal y Yo el Halcón, y tampoco con comedias como Oscar y Para o mi mamá dispara. Pero para sus coestrellas como Sharon Stone, su transición a la comedia parecía muy natural.
He's hilarious. He's just one of the funniest people I know.
He has an incredible sense of humor. He has that rare ability to make you laugh so hard that tears run down your face, and then he just keeps coming at you.
No solo era su humor, sino su perseverancia la que ayudaba a Sylvester en los tiempos difíciles.
Your dreams, your desires, your enchanted goals, this is the stuff your future can be made of if you've got the guts to stand there and resist the opposition and the belief in yourself to push forward, and he has that.
Ese insaciable impulso ha llevado a Sylvester a hacer mucho más que cine.
From the very beginning, we always thought of him really as a Renaissance man.
Art is what separates us from things that live in trees and crawl on their stomach. I mean, that is the greatest accomplishment of mankind, is because art it's embracing, it's a life force, it's life-giving.
He's an artist. He's a wonderful painter. He, I think, is an excellent director.
Ron Meyer, presidente y jefe de operaciones de Universal Pictures y ex representante de Sylvester, ha visto personalmente el brío de Stallone.
Including to this day, when he takes on a challenge, he succeeds. When he wanted to play golf, he became a first-class golfer. When he wanted to play polo, he became a great polo player. When he decided he wanted to do something, he made certain that he succeeded at it.
You can tell a lot about a person by his golf game, and I can tell you that Sly is somebody that likes to win.
Estrenada en 1990, Rocky V no llenó las expectativas que había despertado, aunque le dio a Sylvester la oportunidad de trabajar con su hijo mayor, Sage.
One morning he comes to me and says, you know, my dad wants me to audition for this part. I said, great, Sage. I think you would be great.
I thought if anybody was mentally right for the role, because it's about a kid that's raised in the lap of luxury and has to go back to abject poverty, and there's a whole new world, and this is really what it would be for him, so he was terrific.
And he was really there for me whenever I wanted to, and he was like a drama coach. He was always there, and it was easy for me to work with my father, because he's my father.
I'm fascinated by his son. Now what's going to happen to his life, you know?
I want to do some acting, but I also want to do some directing and writing and producing. You know, I kind of want to follow my father's footsteps. I want to be, you know, a man of everything.
How about for you? Time's up.
Tras el estreno del último episodio de la serie de Rocky Balboa, Sylvester meditó acerca de su decisión de hacer secuelas.
If I had to rewind the clock 10 years, I would have insisted by people that are close to me that please push me into very unsafe projects, at least every other one. I think it's professionally responsible to not continue to remake the same film over and over again. You know, what's tonight? Turkey TV dinner, turkey TV dinner.
En 1991, Sylvester unió fuerzas con otras dos superestrellas de acción, Arnold Schwarzenegger y Bruce Willis, para lanzar Planet Hollywood. El mayor éxito de Sly entre 1989 y 1993 fue otra cinta de acción, Tango y Cash, en la que actuó junto a Kurt Russell.
The shower scene started out as a joust. We were jousting in there. I mean, that didn't work very well because I was always winning, but I don't want to...
If you can't lose it, use it. So.
Yeah, we gave a whole new meaning to the word Irish Spring. Okay.
En 1993, Sylvester cortejó a la modelo y actriz Jennifer Flavin. También logró atraer de nuevo al público con una película de acción llamada Riesgo Total. Y así, Stallone volvió a la cima, aunque sus admiradores ignoraban que el casi invencible actor que había encarnado a Rambo le tenía terror a las alturas. En 1993, en el Festival de Cannes, la fama de Sylvester subió a las nubes.
I feel very, very blessed to still be presented the opportunity to take some chances, because this is a cruel, cruel city, and you know, the avenue of broken dreams and whatever. And it's true. It's true, but this is also a place where you can roll the dice at a very late point in your life and come up with the winning hand. You really can.
Stallone continuó trabajando en el género de acción que lo había hecho rico y famoso. En El Demoledor, Stallone actuó junto a Wesley Snipes y un rostro nuevo en el cine, Sandra Bullock. En El Juez, el joven que había soñado con ser un superhombre pudo finalmente encarnar a un personaje animado de su creación. Para sus escenas de amor más explícitas hasta el momento, Stallone eligió a Sharon Stone como coprotagonista de El Especialista.
You know, when I worked with him, he really looked after me. You know, we were running through fire bombs and buildings blowing up and driving under a helicopter that was shooting right on top of our convertible. You know, he really knows that stuff. There's no one I can imagine doing that stuff with.
Fuera de la pantalla, Stallone salió por breve tiempo con la modelo Angie Everhart en 1995. Ese mismo año, el semental italiano encendió las pantallas en Asesinos, junto a un rompecorazones latino llamado Antonio Banderas.
At the beginning, I have to confess, I was kind of, not scared, but, you know, I thought I was going to find another kind of person. Probably because of his movies, you know, all these action movies, all these action heroes, you know, so tough guys, and he resulted to be a very funny person. So it was great working with him.
Durante más de 2 décadas, los héroes de acción de Sylvester habían triunfado. Sin embargo, el hombre detrás de esos personajes tenía que lidiar con los peligros reales del estrellato internacional.
Imagine 25 to 50,000 people all screaming at once.
Anywhere Sly goes, it's just chaos wherever he travels.
When I first became famous, I thought, I don't know what to do. I'm a mess. He said, oh, I've had every nervous disorder known to mankind. Shingles, hives, this, ulcers, this. Oh, come on. What, are you kidding? It's not like every time you walk down the street, everybody wants to beat you up.
Unlike a lot of movie stars, you know, he embraces his public. I mean, he understands the real nature of his business, his industry, who he is. I mean, he's a movie star.
He knows who he is. He doesn't doubt who he is, even if his career could be up one day or down the next. It doesn't matter. He always has a certainty of what he is, who he is, what he contributes.
But overall, people relate to him, and I think people want to know him and don't want him to go away. So I believe that he's part of our environment.
I've seen grown men and little children cry when they see him and touch him.
I think he handles it well, and I think he's really learned to handle it well, and I've taken a lot of inspiration from him in terms of how to deal with success and how to handle the very peculiar world of being famous.
You know what true fear is? Walking across a hotel lobby in Chicago and not one person asking for your autograph, you go, it's over.
Comenzó a concentrarse en su vida fuera de la pantalla. A finales de 1995, el actor reanudó su relación con Jennifer Flavin y luego anunciaron su compromiso en enero de 1996. Sylvester continuó con su firme actividad en su obra de caridad por la causa del autismo en apoyo de su segundo hijo, Sergio.
This is a charity that's very near and dear to me. I have an autistic son.
También tuvo otra oportunidad para actuar junto a su hijo mayor, Sage, en la película Luz del Día. A sus 20 años, Sage tenía sus propias aspiraciones de hacer carrera como cineasta. El 27 de agosto de 1996, Jennifer y Sylvester celebraron el nacimiento de su hija, Sophia Rose. Nacida con un agujero en el corazón, la bebé fue intervenida quirúrgicamente.
Coming through the troubled times with Sophia Rose and now appreciating the fact that she took me through a harrowing experience which had like irreversible effects. It's like I've been exposed to the radiation of love. You know what I mean? It's like it's too late. It's terminal. I've become domesticated in a good sense. You know, I mean, where there was once, you know, very masculine things around the house, there's toys and squeaky dolls and stuffed animals. I'm saying, my God, it has happened.
And I've never seen my father so happy before. He is just so happy. Like, oh, I've never, Sylvester Stallone. I mean, even me, I'm shocked, you know.
Esta gran estrella internacional había encontrado la felicidad en su vida familiar. El 18 de mayo de 1997, Jennifer y Sylvester se casaron.
Jennifer she's the finest woman for me that could possibly be. It's amazing that it took so long for it to sink in, but you know, I guess I was just bringing a great deal of history with me, and quite often we are the sum total of our prior experiences, and quite often those experiences aren't very good. And our loved ones, if they're truly loved ones, to that heart, because the heart is encased in steel and scar tissue and ice, whatever it is. And if they can persevere, then you know you have someone that truly loves you, if they're willing to be subjected to so many emotional roller coaster rides.
Sylvester subió a su propia montaña rusa cuando el cofundador y presidente de Miramax Films, Harvey Weinstein, le pidió integrar el elenco de primeras figuras de Tierra de Policías.
I always kidded him around. I said, Sly, if you do Copland, it's going to be more dangerous than that movie you did, where you're like crawling across the Alps, on a little tightrope and a cliffhanger. And he said, why is it going to be more dangerous? I said, because you're going to have one scene with Harvey Keitel, then you're going to turn around and do another scene with Bob De Niro. And the great thing about Sly, you give him a challenge. He rises to the occasion.
Listen, Sheriff, I'm really sorry to have awoken you from your slumber, but it's over. Hands are tied now. You shut me down.
No, listen to me. You're IA. That's why I came to you. You can do whatever you want. Remember you came to me and said, you want to be a cop? I'm being a cop now. I'm here. I'm asking you for some help. I need to do something for you. I need to do this for myself.
Listen to me, you deaf. I offered you a chance when we could have done something. I offered you a chance to be a cop, and you blew it. You blew it.
You people are all the same.
La actuación de Sylvester fue aplaudida por los espectadores y aclamada por la crítica.
I think Janet Maslin said it best, that when Bobby De Niro started off and Sly started off at approximately the same time in their careers, one went this way and one went that way, and who's to say, where they met. And the fact is that he gave an extraordinary performance that will hold up, just like the characters he's created in other movies will hold up the test of time.
And he was very good in this movie, and he said it himself. That's a choice he made. He's very honest about it and straight, and that's okay.
2 décadas después del éxito de Rocky, Sylvester reflexiona acerca de sus logros.
It's tough to lump it all into one thing. Proudest accomplishment, of course, is what happened with Rocky. The most recent professional, of course, is what happened with Copland. I mean, it's 20 years later. And the emotional accomplishment of raising my children that have been they've been trouble-free and wonderful and creative.
El actor, guionista y director que en el pasado aplicó una sentencia de William Shakespeare, sé sincero contigo mismo, en su búsqueda de superación creativa, ahora ve la vida de un modo diferente.
I think that I'm trying to serve a few different masters, and those, in other words, the masters being, philosophically, the good film, the masters being the fans, the master being, spirituality, the master, being the love of my family and not trying to embarrass them. So it isn't all about me. It's about also trying to accomplish goals that serve many masters.
En diciembre de 1997, el Club de Prensa de las Mujeres de Hollywood honró a Sylvester como la estrella del año con el premio La Manzana de Oro.
This serves as a barometer in my life. Obviously, I've made a few good choices lately.
Su legado como una inspiración para una generación de cineastas independientes, así como su condición como uno de los mayores héroes cinematográficos, han convertido a Sylvester Stallone en una leyenda de Hollywood.
When he goes for something, he's got the eye of the tiger.
I'm very happy to see that his life has taken this turn where he's doing this good work and marrying this terrifically nice woman and having a baby. It's great.
I think like a lot of strong personalities, he's got, something vulnerable underneath it. And some may see it more than others. I certainly see that side to Sly more than others might. And that's the side I actually like the most.
Well, I think his career has been incredible, and only the people that are jealous would say anything differently.
Sylvester is going to emerge as the responsible artist, not just the productive, but the responsible one, because those are the same things he's realizing about fatherhood, and I think it's going to happen, so I can't wait.
His story gives everybody hope. It tells you that the impossible can happen.
I think when I grow up, I want to be like Sylvester Stallone.
I'm not sure I can answer the question as to how he overcame adversity and all of that. I guess it's just something inside a person that makes them want to go the extra mile, makes them want to accomplish.
Bien, pues ya estamos de regreso. Muchísimas gracias del programa de Sylvester Stallone. Gracias por continuar con nosotros en nuestra sintonía. Déjenme decirles que esto ha sido todo por hoy. Nos vemos la próxima semana. Ya está aquí el señor Enrique Carrón para dar su noticiero, como todos los lunes. Así pues, pásela bien y cuídese mucho. Nos vemos hasta la próxima.